Just tea for two and two for tea. Just me for you and you for me.
Good morning, mein Liebers. Willkommen to Tea Time with Mrs. Washington. So, today's topic of discussion. Oh, first I should say, what I meant to say in the very first video was that it's so nice only having to show myself from the waist up, because that means no pants. In fact, no nothing if I don't want anything to be there. That's nice. I think most people who film their YouTube videos like this from the waist up, they're totally pantaloon-less, which is kind of freeing. So, today's topic of conversation is trans men. How do you touch them? How are you intimate with your trans man? So, basically, with trans men, I'm not going to do sort of a blanket explanation for all trans men, because all trans men are completely fucking different, and I don't know what the fuck each one likes. But I do know from my relatively limited experience, hands-on experience, with 2 trans men, and from dialogue that I've had with at least 9 to 10 other trans men, the common theme that I get through all of this, if they're identifying as male, is they do not want to be handled as if they are female. They may be pre-op, they may have not had top surgery. Most of them most likely have not had bottom surgery, because bottom surgery is a shit show, and I don't know why any trans men would want to go there, because fuck. Like, can we just wait for that shit to become a little more advanced? Can we just try? Because fuck. Like, I know that, like, it's a thing, and that, you know, just like with trans women, like, they can't stand seeing what they see, and so it needs to be gone, or something needs to be added. I get it. But just, like, I don't know if the technology is there yet to be doing what some trans men want to do with their bottom surgery. That's my thought about that. Just wait a little longer. And I know that some people are just like, I can't fucking wait, I just need my shit to be there. And I need it to be real, and to be part of me, and to be made for me, and all that kind of... Anyways, separate video, clearly. Going off on a tirade. But trans men do not want to be touched as if they're female. If they're pre-op, then they haven't had top surgery, most likely have not had bottom surgery at all, and that doesn't mean a god fucking damn to them. From my experiences, they do not want their chest fondled as if they are female. They do not want their junk fondled as if it's female junk. There are different ways to be touching trans men from the waist down, let me tell you. And a lot of women who are with trans men, if trans men don't know how they want to be touched, they just know that they don't want to be touched like a woman. It's like a grab bag. Like, their partner, whether it's a male partner or a female partner, could sometimes be at a loss. They could be like, wow, well, what the fuck do you want me to do with you? Some trans men do not want to be penetrated at all in what is still considered female-esque junk. And some of them do. And so there's just like, there's all the different things. But most trans men, as far as I have experienced, do not want to be touched or handled as if they are a woman in any way. And there are ways that you can touch them to make them feel very masculine, to acknowledge the fact that they're masculine, and to not trigger their dysphoria when you're being intimate in bed with them. So that's what this video is about. So, in regards to me discussing my experiences with my man, who is transitioning MTM, tea time break, tea bamboo break. rum break. If I admit that there's rum in here, the break is going to turn into like Caribbean time break, and then this video is going to be like 5 hours long. And I might just wander off, go for a stroll, leave the camera running, and come back tomorrow. So let's just keep calling it tea, because that way it'll keep me on track. So, when it comes to my partner and how we are intimate and we play, specifically how I play with him, how I make love to him, there are a few little things that I would maybe leave out. But generally, in regards to how I touch him, when I'm touching his chest, I don't acknowledge in any way that there are fatty mounds there. They're basically tumors. He considers them tumors. They need to be gone. They should not be acknowledged. They shouldn't be played with. They shouldn't be fondled. None of that fucking shit. Playing with the nipples, none of that. Like, as long as the nipples are attached to fatty tissue that is on his chest, he's not comfortable with me touching his chest. And so what I do is I touch the sides of his chest on either side of him, because he's so thick and girthy, you just want to grab him and sink your fingernails into either side of his chest, like here and here. Ooh, it's so good. And his back is so wide. And then if I want to touch his chest and not just the sides, then I rub my hands like just right here. And I completely ignore the fact that there's other business on either side of my hand. Do not acknowledge it. Don't touch it. Grab his neck, grab his upper arms. There's so many different ways that you can touch a person from the waist up, even if there is breast tissue or fatty tissue or whatever you want to call it there, where you don't have to touch it. Leave it the fuck alone. It's easy to do, actually. You just need to start training yourself to do it that way. You just don't see it. Eventually, like, you just stop seeing it. And for me, I never really saw it to begin with. So when I started to become intimate with him, I knew that the dysphoria was there, and I just didn't go there with his chest. So body worship is a thing. Like, you find other ways, and there are so many other ways to worship your trans man's body. You know, fondle and dig your nails into his back, or you know, rub your naked sexy body all over his naked sexy body, or all the other, there are a billion other body parts to go there with. And there are a billion other things that could be being introduced into your element of play as well, that will make it easy for you to completely decadently indulge with your partner and have an incredible time and not trigger his dysphoria. In regards to playing from the waist down, again, there are specific ways that I've discovered and that I've heard other trans men tell me about in relation to how they like to be touched. And particularly if we're talking about the D. And I'm talking about, right now, the D without any extracurricular attachments to it. Just good old-fashioned natural D, which you see right there with trans men. You don't fondle it like it's a pussy, because it's not a pussy. It's not a pussy to them, and it shouldn't be a pussy to you. For all intents and purposes, for some trans men, it might look like a pussy to their partners, but that's not how they envision it, and it's probably not how you should envision it if that's not how they envision it. So if you're going to be touching them, you are touching the D just like it's a D. The clit. There's a hood, there's a shaft to the clit. It's basically a smaller version of a penis. There is an actual shaft to the clit. It goes all the way up. There's a root. You can find the base of it, and then it stretches all the way down. You think that it's just a little button, but it's not, because it's hiding behind a hood, or at least most clits are. So when your partner goes on T, often the D, aka clit, enlarges. Sometimes it enlarges so much that it just like pops right out of the clitoral hood, which is just fucking fantastic. That's a great, great thing. But Sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But it does enlarge with the T, and so it ends up getting longer and thicker, and the root of it gets longer, it elongates, it's a shaft, it's a penis. And so when you are touching your trans man, from what I've heard and from what I've learned, you basically just touch the shaft of the D just like it's a cis man's D. It's that simple. You don't rub it like it's a fucking clit on a pussy. You don't fucking do that shit. I would never touch my man in that way because that's the way that I would touch a woman. And my man isn't a woman, obviously. So you stroke it and you get the foreskin in your hands and you just pull it up and down the shaft. Just like a penis, but a slightly smaller version of a penis. That's basically it. You know, and there's way more stimulation in a trans man's D than a cis man's D. We all know that. So that's fantastic. There are so many wonderful things to be done in regards to dealing with the D if you're going to be giving your trans man oral sex. Suck it like it's a D. Don't lick it like it's a little clit on a cute little pussy, because that's not the fucking way to go. It's just not, in my experience, what trans men are into or what they like. And for me, I wouldn't be into that either if I was trying to be with my man and he's like, oh, lick my clit. I'd be like, what? What, nigga, what? No, I don't want to lick your clit. I want to suck your dick. This is getting a little crude. So anyways, I personally know how my man wants to be touched and handled, and I think that I could safely say that there are a percentage of other trans men who like to be touched in the same way and handled in the same way, like men, because that's what they are. But ultimately, what this is all about is between you and your partner. So whatever your partner likes, whatever flies, whatever goes, whatever doesn't trigger your partner's dysphoria, and whatever your partner likes, go for that. I'm only speaking from my experience and from the trans men that I know that I've talked to, and from my experience with my own partner, my own love. So that's kind of a breakdown of how I handle my man. And I mean, it's not rocket science. He's a man, he wants to be touched like a man. That simple. Sure, some cis men want to be touched like women. That's their thing. Some trans men want to be touched like women. That's their thing. I think a lot of trans men want to be touched like men. That's their thing. I know, for me, I see my trans man as a man, so I want to touch him like a man. And that's my thing. So luckily, in this particular circumstance, we perfectly link and sync up, and everything is hunky-dory and sexy and good. So if you have any questions, or if you have any different ways that your partner likes to be touched who is trans, and you want to be like, well, this is how my person likes to do things, or that's not my experience, this is my experience, just go ahead and say so. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. But this, again, revolves exclusively around my experience. And that's the only educated route that I have to speak from. So I'm doing the best I can here, people. That's what I got. That's it. Tea time with Mrs. Washington. I'm out. Spilled my fucking tea, too. In between one of these little video splits, I knocked it over, and that was a sad state of affairs. The cussing? Whew! The cussing! Should have left the camera running, except the battery died. Anyways, tune in, turn on, tune out to Tea Time in Mrs. Washington. I'll be back with another topic soon, duckies. See you!